battleground where warriors collide. Die Hard MMA podcast, we won't hide. Clint's gonna dig deep, analyze each brawl from the underdogs to the champions standing tall. The fury, let your instincts rise. Feel the adrenaline rush, it's time to defy. Die Hard MMA, we're in it for the thrill. Get ready for the madness. Let's make that bankroll spill.
Happy Friday, degenerates. Welcome back to the Undefeated Post-Weigh-In Show. I'm your boy, your host, always here on a Friday, breaking down the action for you one last time, UFC Des Moines Fight Week. And boy, do I need a weekend. I am so ready for this one, you guys. Oh, my Lord. This week is testing me. I cannot wait. We've got fights tonight. FAC 29 over on Spectation Sports. Promo code DieHard will get you 20% off when you sign up. If you guys need some action this evening, link in the description below. Use that promo code. And then tomorrow, we've got a Spectation doubleheader. There's an Aries fight card tomorrow, and then it's UFC Des Moines. I am ready. I am so ready. I need people to get punched in the face. I need highlight reel knockouts. I need flying triangle submissions. I cannot wait. If it's your first time watching this Friday edition of the Undefeated Post Weigh-In Show, we broke the entire card down on Monday with my boy Liam Picks Fights. That is worth a view. Go check that out if you haven't already seen it. This is less a technical breakdown. This is more of putting it all together. I've got a whole bunch of popsicle sticks and I need to build a house out of it. That's what today is. We've got all the information. We collect stuff throughout the week. We check out everybody on Instagram. We watch the weigh-ins. We watch the face-offs, and we use every little bit of information possible so you can have a shot at making a good bet. Never a bad read made, never a bad bet. Not today, not here, not on the Undefeated Post Weigh-In Show. What's up, everybody in the chat? Thank you all for being here. We got everybody rolling in already, almost 100 viewers live to break down UFC Des Moines. Do me a favor, hit that like button, share the show out if you haven't, especially if you're on social media. Get some more people in here and let's get after it. First fight of the evening is Juliana Miller taking on Ivana Petrovic. We got 126 pounds for Juliana Miller, 125 and a half for Ivana Petrovic. I will tell you guys, it's been a while since we've seen Juliana Miller, so nobody should be overly surprised that she struggled a little bit on the scales this morning. She was a little bit pale. She needed the box of shame. She needed a second attempt at making weight. She got there. She smiled. She flexed. She looked fine. So I think she's okay. I just think it's been a minute since she's had to make weight the correct way. Ivana, no issues for her whatsoever on the scale today. She looked in very good shape, very blank face up there, so no emotions, no nothing. Ivana is slightly larger. I do think it's a bit misleading, though. It looks like Juliana Miller has that rolled forward shoulders, like, desk job type of back, scoliosis looking thing, the way I sit. She looks like she's rolled forward a little bit. So she looks like she's a little bit shorter than Ivana, but I'm suspicious that if she straightened up, they actually would probably be right about the same size. I like this fight, you guys. I think this was a fun one to start the night off. I think I'm going to pull the trigger on Juliana Miller. She's plus 205 at this point, and I know every week I talk myself into one lousy underdog that just looks awful in hindsight. I've talked about how I'm not sold on Juliana at all as a prospect to begin with. You guys know this, but I think Ivana Petrovic is just as bad, if not worse. So I think there's really a chance that this line is way wide and looks like value in hindsight. Juliana's a decent grappler. I think she's got more activity on the feet, while Ivana might be a little bit more technical on the feet. I think she's a little bit more low volume. Juliana does go for the kill, and, hence the Killer Miller nickname. I do think that type of aggression and offense will steal moments during the fight, as long as she can have some success if she gets the grappling going. We've seen Ivana make mistakes, and Juliana is somebody who's extremely opportunistic with those mistakes. I like Juliana Miller by sub at plus 700. I'm going to find some way, shape, or form to go ahead and get that on my card. Whether or not I play the money line at plus 205, that's really the question here for me. I don't know that Ivana is finishing Juliana Miller. I think a lot of people have a bad look at Juliana from her last fight because she got knocked out by somebody who really isn't knocking anybody out, but there was something very seriously wrong with her coming into that fight. She was sick, she was pale, she was gross looking. Like there was a real problem physically going on with her. I don't think that knockout happens if she is 100%. And Ivana is not the type of fighter who's going to knock anybody out. She could probably submit her, if we're scrambling, one of these girls could get caught. I just think Juliana probably catches the sub more often than the other way around. So it's dog or pass for me to start the night. Let's freaking go. I hope it doesn't end up like last week, though, because Jocelyn Edwards went ahead and make me to look silly last week. I was not expecting the striking difference to be that bad, and I was not expecting Chelsea Chandler to be that big of a bum when it came to the durability. We know she's got bad striking defense, right? But the way Edwards made her run across the cage, it was like she was facing prime what's-her-face again. So, yeah, I'm hoping that this underdog this week is maybe a little better to start the night off, but it's always a risk. We'll find out. We'll shout out to the chat. Zach, what's going on? TH in the house. Zane Cubs, what's going on? Mark in the house. We got David Nettles. What is up? You are welcome, my friend. That's what I do. Let's see here. Mark asking about anything on the NHL. I kind of lean towards the Blues, and I kind of lean towards the over. I'll be honest with you. I actually don't have any bets in for tonight because this series has been a problem for me. I was thinking the Jets were just going to run through the Blues, but Hellebuck has looked really, really bad. He's letting in a lot of goals, which is a problem, especially, if they advance through this round. I don't know if Hellebuck's going to be able to get them through the next round. So maybe they close out and they win tonight. All the favorites have done that. Nobody's pushed a game 7 or anything like that yet. So I kind of lean towards the Jets being able to close it out if the trend holds, but that's my problem, right? Like, I want the Blues if they're plus money, but they're not. They're at home and they're the slight favorite. So I don't want to bet the team facing elimination when every single team facing elimination has gone out on their shield so far in this series. So yeah, man, I don't know. This is a tough one for me. I'm not going to be betting tonight. I'm just going to watch this one. Rusty in the house. What's going on? Kenny, what's going on? Rusty likes Miller. Ooh, that's rare that I get an underdog agreement here from Rusty. So good to know. Good to know. That line move has me a little worried, though. She was like plus 180 a little bit earlier. Kool-Aid, what's going on? Only the first fight, Kool-Aid. We've only talked on the first fight, so you're not missing much here. We can keep it going. Next up, Dantel Mays takes on Thomas Peterson. Dantel Mays comes in here at 259 pounds. Thomas Peterson, 250 on the dot. Dantel, he looked bad, you guys. I mean, okay, so Thomas Peterson looked bad. This guy's a soft body. He looks like a bag of milk, but he always looks that way, right? He reminds me of prime Alexander Romanov, which shout out my guy Romanov doing things over in the PFL last night. I know that that's what we expect from Thomas Peterson, but Dantel Mays, he's giving me Anthony Smith vibes, you guys. And now, not Anthony Smith vibes like I like to put my money on Anthony Smith sometimes because he can pull the upset vibes. But I mean, like, do you remember when I told you guys, it was like a year ago at this point, that there was a notable change in the physique of Anthony Smith? And it's not I just got old. It's I stopped working so hard. It's I stopped caring. I stopped trying because I knew I wasn't going to be fighting for the title anymore. You saw him go through this physical transformation of getting insanely in shape, and he won like 3 out of his 4 fights in that run. And then after he had that loss that kind of sent him back down the ladder, all of a sudden the body softened up. He wasn't as cut anymore. You couldn't see his abs anymore. It was like there's a notable dip that he is not working as hard. And I'm seeing that in Dantel Mays. Now, it's a lot easier to see in heavyweights because these guys are so freaking heavy. There's so much extra to love on these boys. I'm not body shaming anybody, but it's easy to go from having abs and to go from being cut up to having that extra flab at 265 pounds. So it's notable. I do think Dantel Mays came in soft for this fight. It looks like he rolled off the couch for this fight, and he's already a guy that you kind of want to bet against. He's already a guy who doesn't have great fight IQ and barely holds a game plan together. So I've completely flipped on this one. I told everybody on Monday that it's like one of those cover your eyes and pray type of things. I think Thomas Peterson's bad, you guys. I think he's really bad. This is like a fading shit with shit type of situation, and you don't really want to do that. It never ends up very well. So I'm probably going to end up just passing on this fight. But at the end of the day, I think Thomas Peterson is the guy who's motivated here. And you can tell just by looking at Dantel Mays. Thomas Peterson is the one who actually wants to come in here and win a fight. He doesn't look like he's checked out. He's getting work. He's at a small gym. It's not very notable. I wish he would take, I always wanted Dantel Mays to like get out there and take a step up and go get a new coach and go get better training partners. And he never did. And we see what happens when that's the case. So I just think Thomas Peterson's the newer, fresher face. Dantel looks like he's showing up for a paycheck, even though he does have a distinct size advantage. That's the big thing. When these guys size up and stand next to each other, if you're looking at a street fight, you're like, damn, like Dantel's going to whoop this guy's ass. But in reality, Thomas Peterson is a very good wrestler, and Dantel Mays is a very slow striker. So unless he pops him with a KO shot on his first takedown entry, Dantel's going to end up on his back, and Thomas Peterson's got the gas to go a full 15 doing that. I can see Dantel just kind of packing it in and going home, honestly, on this one, because he looks completely counted out on this one. He looked disinterested on the scales today. So yeah, I mean, I went from this being a dog or pass to being a favorite or pass. It's still a pass for me just because of how bad both guys are. But yeah, I'll go ahead and say I'll agree. Thomas Peterson probably is the guy that goes ahead and gets this one done. Geston Balanos is taking on Quang in the next fight. 135.5 pounds for both guys. Geston Balanos is absolutely shredded. This guy looks like he's in fantastic shape on the scales every time he gets up there. Quang he looked pretty good. These guys size up. They size up pretty well. They're roughly the same size and shape. This is going to be a good fight, you guys. Quang is my dog of the week. I said on Monday, I did go ahead and use him as my dog of the week this week. I think his relentless forward pressure and grappling is going to get to Geston Balanos, and we've seen that be a problem for Geston Balanos, right? He does all these crazy things, spinning elbows, flying knees. Like, he's always looking to catch you with something big and flashy, and when he doesn't, he's off balance. He gives up takedowns. He gives up his back. Like, I think Quang can hang enough on the feet, and then he's got a significant enough edge on the ground that he's probably the right side here as a dog. Bear in mind, this is a very low-level fight, so it's not necessarily an easy one. At this point, all the money's been kind of beaten out of the Quang side of things. So unless you're doing the anchor parlay system that I happen to be rocking with this week, you're probably not getting the number on Quang that you'd like to be able to roll the dice here. It might be a decent live betting opportunity. Just kind of see how this one goes. This is probably going to be a greasy, hairy fight. So it's dog or pass for me. It is the dog for me. I like Quang, and I hope he comes out with a grappling mentality. That really should seal the deal. If he comes out grappling, I think that's going to make the difference here for this fight. Jillian Robertson and Marina Rodriguez, 115.5 pounds for both women here today. Jillian Robertson was all smiles. You guys know I was real worried about her when she came down to 115 at first because it looked like it was real rough for her, but she has mastered this cut. She looks fantastic on the scales today. Big solid flex, big healthy smile. Marina Rodriguez really struggling on the scales today. She is very tall. She is very lanky. She's a bit on the older side, and she was pale. It looked like, it's so crazy. It looked like you put tanner on her from the neck down, and then just her face was like white as a ghost. She had a real tough time on the scales getting up there this morning. Jillian came in and stepped in close on her. She got in like not nose to nose, but she let her know what's what. There was an intense stare down, and you had Marina Rodriguez kind of showing her the fist, getting up close to her face. Marina does have a height advantage. She's got a height advantage on everybody in this weight class to go, so that is nothing new. That shouldn't be surprising to anybody. This one is tough. This one's tough. Marina is plus 200. Jillian is minus 245. And I talked to you guys about this one on my Monday podcast. Jillian is my girl. I got her hat hanging right over here. We've been a fan of hers since she got to the UFC. We're all Team Savage. I cannot lay this price tag on her here in this spot because I don't think she's got the wrestling chops that most of the women that Marina Rodriguez has struggled with recently have had. So without the wrestling aspect of this, Jillian better get this thing done on her first takedown. And if she doesn't get it done on her first takedown, the gap in skill on the feet is drastic. I think Marina is going to style on Jillian if this fight is kept standing. Now, the quote that everyone's throwing around there, or the stat that everyone's throwing around there, is that Marina's given up a takedown in every single one of her like past 6 fights. And again, I get it. I get that. I totally understand. However, let's look at her last 6 opponents, right? Yasmin Lucindu, much better striker, much better offensive wrestler than Jillian. Jessica Andrade, far better striker. You got to respect the power. Also a better wrestler than Jillian Robertson. Michelle Watterson, that's the one that Marina won by TKO, mind you. She did get taken down once, but Michelle knew she had to come out there and shoot for her life, and she still ended up getting finished. So that doesn't mean much to me. Verna Jandiroba, that chick's about to fight for a title, and she has far better wrestling than Jillian Robertson and better jiu-jitsu, mind you, in this case. And then the last one was Amanda Lemos, who she ended up swinging for her life and hooks. And I'll tell you, Amanda's probably not the one, but she's far more explosive than Jillian Robertson is. And she's got way more power. The striking is on the level of someone like Marina. You got to respect the power there. So again, this is just kind of like this 5-fight run. Michelle Watterson is the only one in there that I would think is maybe a red flag. And she TKO'd her. Everybody else she fought well with. 3 of these fights were decisions. 2 of them were splits. Like, I think this is a huge step up for Jillian Robertson, and it's a big break in competition for Marina. And it really is just so binary. Jillian has to get the takedown, and she's probably going to have to get multiple of them because Marina's never been submitted, you guys. That is a big, big, big deal. She's never been submitted. She is tough enough to hold down that people don't TKO her on the mat and they don't wrap up chokes. And if you can defend submissions from Verna Jandiroba on the floor, I think you can defend submissions from Jillian. I know the whole thing is Jillian's going to, go to work with the ground and pound and TKO her, but I actually think Marina will have opportunities to scramble and get up and get out of dodge if she does do that. So I just think this line is way, way too wide. I think the plus money on Marina is probably the way to go. And I hate to say it, but I might even sprinkle the knockout prop. Marina by KO is 11-1. And we've seen what happens when Jillian gets stuck with people on the feet, guys. It is not pretty. She does not have striking offense or defense to speak of. So yeah, this one is another dogger pass for me early. It's a gross, greasy women's MMA fight. And Jillian might be able to get her down and might be able to TKO or sub her. But to be honest, I just don't know if she's going to be able to get it done if she doesn't get more than one takedown. And I kind of only think she's getting the one takedown. Shout out, Rusty. Got to run. Catch you later. Thank you very much for tuning in live, Rusty. I'm sure I'll catch you in the comments after the show is over. Hope we line up a little bit more than usual this week. Louis Mack, what is going on? Golden Caps, what is up? And then UFC predictions by G Funk. What is going on? How is everybody doing? Let's see here. All right, we're caught up. Let's keep it rolling, everybody. We've got 250 of you in here. Hit that like button for me. Let's freaking go. All right, Asat Beckov takes on Ryan Loer, and you guys, my goodness. Asat Beckov looks thick. I mean, like Russian puffy thick. You know what I'm talking about. Those guys, they're blown up like balloons. They got the good stuff. Ivan Drago style. Big, heavy breaths from this guy. Eyes sunken in, mouth hanging open, licking his lips for any little bit of moisture he could get. Dehydrated badly. Asat Beckov looked terrible on the scales today. Ryan Loer, 185.5, looked absolutely jacked. And this kid was all smiles up there. He was enjoying himself. He's flexing on everybody. He looked like he was having fun on the scales today. Loer had a massive size advantage, you guys. And I know fights do not always come down to just, hey, who's the bigger guy, right? Like that does not always matter. But Ryan Loer is decently larger here than Beckov. And we have seen Beckov slow down and gas out in his fights before. We've seen him struggle with guys that he can't push around super easily in the cage. And I think he might run into some issues here with this man because from what I understand, Loer is a decent wrestler himself, and he's got decent cardio. He's not the best striker in the world, but he's bigger. He's built well. He's got decent cardio. Like, Man, this one has me really worried, you guys. So, as I said at the top of this thing, we're doing the anchor parlay system, right? So, I do have a parlay, the smallest one that I have, that includes Asat Beckov to get the win. And it's just mostly because at the end of the day, I do think he gets his hand raised type of thing. But man, I've already been suspicious and sketched out with Azamat Beckov, and seeing the size difference and seeing, the difference in how they handled their weight cuts, Loader being all smiles and having a good time and being in good shape, freely moving around, and Beckov looking like he was fighting for his life up there when he already has gas issues. I am tempted to cash out of this bet. I'm tempted to hit the cash out button and just take my money back and be like, you know what? Like, maybe Beckov does win, but at the end of the day, I don't want to be involved in this fight. And I might end up doing that because the third leg of that parlay is one I'm a little concerned with also. This one's turned into a dogger pass for me, you guys. I mean, I picked Azamat Beckov to go ahead and get the win. I'm not sold on Ryan Loder. I'm just not. But I'm also not sold on Azamat Beckov. And at minus 340, minus 350, that is a big price tag. Like, you want someone to really be able to show out and pay that off. If he doesn't get Ryan Loder out of there early, I think Loder can fight his way back into this fight. And what's got my notice, what's got my interest, would be like a round 3 sub for Loder at like 50-1. I mean, I know that sounds crazy, right? But Beckov is a gasser. And what do tired people do, ladies and gentlemen? Tired people tap. I could see Beckov just completely shitting the bed and Loder taking over in the grappling. And then in round 3, when Loder is on top and Beckov is on his back, like Loder being able to find something and hang on to a neck or something like that. I could see it happening. It's entirely possible. This is a fight that I don't have a great read on. I don't really like either guy. Beckov is a untrustworthy favorite here, and I went ahead and parlayed him, obviously. So I'm not liking that. I'm not liking that. These just get the win type of spots, they always seem to bite me right in the butt. So it's my smallest parlay on the board. It's a 3-leg parlay that has Beckov, and I still already just am not feeling it. I don't like it one bit. Next up, you've got Jana Santos and Miesa Tate. We've got 136 for Santos, 135.5 for Miesa Tate. Both women looked fine on the scales. Jana Santos, always a bit more of a physical specimen. She takes good vitamins. And then Miesa Tate, she does her classic kissing the bicep pose thing up there. She looked good for having the layoff. Jana does have a size advantage in this spot, and that is to be expected. Guys, I like Miesa Tate. I like Miesa Tate pretty decently in this spot. I know a lot of people are backing Jana Santos for being the bigger fighter. She looked like she's the better striker. She's a little bit younger, and people are just kind of down on Miesa Tate in general. But at the end of the day, Miesa Tate's a good soldier. She goes out there and does exactly what you need her to. She wrestles. She knows she's going to wrestle. She hits the takedown. She hits the level changes. She refuses to make you quit. She refuses to quit. She makes you quit. And that's something we've seen from Jana Santos before. She has terrible takedown defense. She's willing to concede positions on the ground. I just think this is going to come down to the fact that Miesa Tate is a different level of fighter. She always has had a higher ceiling than Jana Santos. She'll be able to get those takedowns. And once she gets those takedowns, she's going to maul Jana Santos on the mat. So all team Miesa Tate here for me. I could be talked into women's MMA low level. It's a pass, but it's favored a pass for me. And I already bet Miesa Tate. I also like Miesa Tate by sub, and I also like Miesa Tate in the late rounds. So that round 3 prop, that's one of those things that Miesa Tate really prides herself on, trying to do whatever it takes to get her opponents out of there. She doesn't want to be boring. She doesn't want to leave it to the judges. And a round 3 sub is something that I think is very, very much on the table here. I know Jana Santos is very tough. She's very durable. She's very hard to put away. And that's why I don't really want the ground and pound. I don't want the TKO. I think that Miesa would have to get like an arm triangle or get a rear naked choke or something like that. But I think that's very possible. And at plus 500, I do think the sub is something that we want to look at. Yeah, Colton says, Ronda's at home hating on Miesa. Yeah, it's easy to talk from the sidelines though. So, good. I'm glad Ronda's living the life. I'm glad she's enjoying herself in her retirement, but Misha's still doing the damn thing. So she gets my respect. Mason Jones takes on Jeremy Stevens in the next fight, you guys. The return of Mason Jones, 155.5 pounds for Mason Jones, 155 on the dot. for his opponent, Jeremy Stevens. Mason Jones had lobster face bad today. He was all kinds of red. Looks like it was a bit of a rough weight cut for him, but he did okay. Sticking his tongue out, enjoying the moment up there on the scales. Mason Jones is a guy I've never been sold on, you guys. He leads face first. He is there to be hit by his opponents, and I think that's why he got. That's why he went back to Cage Warriors. He wanted to work on some stuff. He wanted to develop, and I said this on Monday. I watched his Cage Warriors fights, his last couple of fights. I don't see any difference. I don't see the adjustments. Like, he claims to have, improved and gained new levels, and he's full of confidence because he's riding a 4-fight win streak now in Cage Warriors. But I don't think he looks any different from when he left the UFC in the first place. And Jeremy Stevens, natural 145 pounder in the UFC. This is probably his MMA retirement fight. I think they might be bringing him back to give him the old Anthony Smith. They'll play the tribute for him in his hometown, and this will be his last fight. And then I hope he goes back to BKFC because, frankly, you guys, this guy was built for BKFC. He's doing things over there. He hits like an absolute truck. And when he doesn't have to worry about getting taken down, he can whoop people. And so I think Jeremy Stevens belongs in BKFC, and this is just kind of a one-off, which worries me because I don't want to put my money on a guy who has one foot in the grave, who's coming home just to cash a paycheck, who wants one final UFC fight in his hometown because he's got the opportunity. And the UFC clearly want to get Mason Jones a notable name on his resume. That's what this is. So you got a 145er coming up to 155 to fight in the UFC, an organization that he hasn't got a win in like 5 years. For what? Like, it's obviously for Mason Jones to go ahead and get the win in this spot, not for Jeremy Stevens to knock out this hot young prospect on home soil. However, when these guys faced off, Jeremy Stevens is bigger than Mason Jones, you guys. He's freaking huge. Like, he has a big size advantage over a lot of 145ers, and no wonder he looks big at 155. He's not shredded the way he is at 145. He's not cut up the way he was at 145. So I got to think that, the power probably is going to translate fine. And when you've got an opponent who walks face first into punches, I could see Jeremy Stevens landing a bomb here. This is one of the ones that's just sketchy as all get out to me because the narrative is clear as day. We know exactly what the UFC is doing here. But minus 650 on Mason Jones, guys, my 3-legger parlay is the anchor that we'll talk about at the end of the show, and then Mason Jones and Asat Beckov. It's the big faves on this card, and you get close to even money. Not even money for that 3-leg parlay. But I beat that line move on Mason Jones. He's minus 650 now. So this parlay is sketchy as all get out, and it's expensive. So I don't like it. I don't like it one bit. Even though I've already got the parlay locked up and I already beat the line move here on Mason Jones, I still don't like it. And watching these two face off, watching Jeremy Stevens looking at this guy with those crazy eyes the way he does, watching him stare this man down that is going to be just right there to be hit. I know grappling is the way to go here. And I know up at 155, the grappling of Mason Jones is going to be more than enough to take down Jeremy Stevens. But again, the defensive void of Mason Jones and his willingness to brawl. That's the thing. Mason Jones, when he gets clipped, he's not a wrestler first. He doesn't have that instinct of shit, grab a leg. Like, that's not what he does. He goes, okay, I'm going to get it back. And he starts throwing with you. That's the worst case scenario against a guy like Jeremy Stevens. I could absolutely see Jeremy Stevens coming in here and joining Robbie Lawler as being one of the only 2 MMA fighters to actually ride off into the sunset on a successful retirement fight. I could see him knocking Mason Jones out. I could. So I don't like it. I may cash out of that. Again, like I said, the 3-legger parlay is my smallest parlay on the board. And because I hate the 2 chalk pieces of it, I might end up cashing out. I'm a chicken. The minus 650 on the board and the minus 350 on the board are the ones that are scaring me. Yes. So I'm picking the favorites, you guys. I'm not saying that I like the dogs outright. I'm not pounding my chest and telling you this is the best underdog play you'll ever make. We're coming off back-to-back underdog cashes in PFL last night. So we're feeling good. We're feeling confident. We're seeing the board well. But I don't know that I want a piece of Mason Jones at minus 650 anymore. I already clicked the button. You're supposed to diamond hands these situations. You're supposed to just let it fly on your first read, hang in there, let that ticket come on home. But I am very tempted to cash out right now. Golden Cap says violence, and I don't mind that. I don't mind that one bit. Let's see here. Yeah, Duck Phillips saying Mason is hardly a hot young prospect anymore. And I guess that's fair. I guess that's fair. I mean, the UFC obviously is trying to bring him back in here and make something of him, but I do feel like the shine has come off him a decent bit. So we'll see if anybody's super interested in Mason Jones at this stage. Next up, we got Siri City taking on Cameron Smotherman. Siri City 135.5 matched by Smotherman. Siri City is jacked, you guys. Absolutely jacked. Blank face. Might have struggled with the cut just a little bit. Like he looked like he was intense up there. Cameron Smotherman looked very relaxed, looked very good. No issues from him. Siri City is the slightly larger man. Slight height and reach advantage here. This was a very respectful face-off between these two. And this is a pick'em fight that I've kind of bounced back and forth on multiple times throughout this week. I am not sure what I want to do with these guys because I can see the argument for Cam Smotherman. I think I picked Sirius City on Monday. That's the side that I kind of lean towards just based off of the tape. But I'm also not overly familiar with Cameron Smotherman. He's still a guy whose skill set that I don't feel like I've got a great grasp on. If he comes out here and wrestles, I think he could have a bit of an advantage. Honestly, the way these two strike, Sirius City is there to be hit. So Cam Smotherman could just have the cleaner strikes and land the more impactful shots. And eventually, if City is the kind of guy that takes those kind of brawls and takes those kinds of shots every single time out, one of them's going to catch, one of them's going to land. He could get hurt, he could get put away, and it could be a real issue for him. So I'm not sure what I want to do in this spot just yet, you guys. I think I'm starting to get talked into Cameron Smotherman. I kind of lean that way, but it's plus 115, minus 135. And my stance on these fights is unless I feel like I've got a real angle, I don't have an edge to push here. It's just more of like a gut feeling, and I want to gamble a little bit, and that's not enough to get me to pull the trigger anymore. This is a coin that I legitimately do not need to flip, and so I'm not going to. I'm not going to bet this fight. I will switch my pick. I'll say Cameron Smotherman will be my pick for the fight instead of being Siri City, but I have zero confidence in that, and now I have picked both sides of this fight, so don't take anything I have to say too seriously on this one. Dantel, Montel Jackson takes on Daniel Marcos in the next fight. 136 for Montel Jackson, 135.5 for Daniel Marcos. No problems for Montel Jackson. His mouth was hanging open a little bit. He looked like he was a little dehydrated up there. He's very big and tall for this weight class, so not overly shocking or surprising. Daniel Marcos looked locked in, gotta tell you. Rocking the bright red hair, Dan Hardy style. You love to see it. I love some personal flair like that. Size difference is not what I expected it to be. I thought Montel Jackson was going to kind of tower over this guy. I thought it was going to be a big height and reach discrepancy, but it's not. Daniel Marcos is not a small man. Jackson does have the size advantage, but it's just not nearly as pronounced as I expected it to be. You've got Montel Jackson, a minus 240 favorite, plus 195, plus 200 to come back here on Daniel Marcos, the undefeated of these two fighters. And I did go ahead and pick Montel Jackson. I did go ahead and take Montel Jackson here. I think the hand speed is going to make a difference, and I think the defensive liabilities of Daniel Marcos is going to make the difference. It worries me a little bit trusting Montel Jackson again, you guys, because he's the guy that the head case has always been a bit of a thing for me. He makes some poor decisions sometimes, but it's mostly grapplers who expose this guy, not other strikers. And that is not Daniel Marcos one bit. Marcos also, let's just go ahead and make note of it. He is an undefeated fighter, and undefeated fighters are getting their O's taken in 2025 at an alarming pace. So I kind of am a little, again, I know it's not the most technical breakdown you've ever heard of, but I'm a little biased towards these undefeated fighters. And a guy like Montel Jackson, who came in, was something the UFC liked, got thrown in the deep end, and then they hit the reset button, something they almost never do. They gave him a big break in competition, let him evolve, let him develop, let him improve, and now he's finally starting to kind of round out and show you what he's capable of. I kind of like that angle, right? I like the fact that nobody's sold on Daniel Marcos and they keep giving him tough fights. He's managed to squeeze by a couple of them by the skin of his teeth. But Montel Jackson is the guy they went, okay, we're going to keep you around and we're going to give you a break. We're going to let you build yourself back up. I kind of feel like that's the side the UFC likes just a little bit, but let's be real. This is a win-win fight for them, no matter who wins this fight. You've got an 18-0 undefeated prospect that is coming up the rankings easily in Daniel Marcos if he gets this win, and a name like Montel Jackson is a big one on his resume. Montel Jackson, on the flip side, if he takes the O of Daniel Marcos, you just steal all of that hype, and you're coming off a big highlight reel KO win over Damon Blackshear, another guy that's got a lot of hype behind him. If Montel wins this fight, especially if it's in impressive fashion, I mean, rocket ship, right? So I think the UFC is a winner no matter who gets their hand raised in this fight. I'm going to rely on the athleticism and the speed and the explosiveness of Montel Jackson to go ahead and be the difference maker in this fight. I did use him with my anchors. That comes out to like minus 122 or something like that. So I like that. I like him in a little two-legger parlay. Hopefully he gets it done here for me. Next up, Santiago Ponzanibio takes on D-Rod, Daniel Rodriguez. 170 for Ponzi, 170 and a half for Daniel Rodriguez. Ponzi was flexing his way onto the scale. This guy was having a good day. He was feeling himself up there. They had to tell him to hold still to go ahead and get his weight. So he's good to go. He's ready to go, even though it looked like it was a bit tough of a cut as always. Daniel Rodriguez, he looked good. Face was a bit sucked out. No real problem for him. This is an older professional style fight between these two guys here. And Santiago Ponzanibio is the slight favorite. That is the side I like here personally. Again, I just think Santiago Ponzanibio slightly higher ceiling. I think the output is going to be a little better. D-Rod showing a little bit of cracks in the armor. Both guys slowing down a little bit, frankly. So it's not like this is a runaway spot or anything like that, but I think Santiago has always been the better guy. And as they're both slipping down the slide of age towards the ends of their careers, I'll side with the guy who's got a little bit of a higher ceiling or did have a higher ceiling, kind of similar to my Miesa Tate bet here. D-Rod does have a slight size advantage, but this was a very respectful face-off between these two guys. There's a lot of respect there. So yeah, slight favorite for me. Santiago Ponzanibio for me could be maybe a late KO. He likes to turn it up in rounds 2 and 3. So we'll see if this one gets the full 15 minutes or not, but I like Ponzi. Co-main event, you guys, is Reiner Ditter taking on Bo Nickel. Bo Nickel, the biggest favorite on the board. No, he's not. Minus 375 at this point. Reiner Ditter is closing in on being plus 300 as a dog. And apparently I copy and pasted my notes here poorly because I don't have the weights. For the last 2 fights on the card, I do apologize for you guys on that. But both guys made weight in both the co-main and the main event. So it's not really that big of a deal. Reiner Ditter, I will tell you, though, he looked awful on the scales today. I mean, his body was crying for water up there. Eyes were halfway shut. He did not look happy on the scales today. And Bo Nickel looked like he might have put on just a little bit of muscle up there. You know, you could see his chest and his arms sticking out a little bit more. He was very relaxed. He also does kind of the lobster face head and chest thing, but that's the sauna. You're not super surprised by that. He moved around well enough. He's good to go. Reiner Ditter does have a significant height advantage in this spot, and that's really the big key here for me in this fight. Bo Nickel is going to look to grapple. I mean, he kind of has to, right? And if he does, Reiner Ditter by sub is plus 800. It's right there. It's staring you in the face. Reiner Ditter is the bigger man, the more experienced man, a world-class jiu-jitsu player. But at the end of the day, my soul just screams that Bo Nickel is going to wrestle and he's going to hang on for dear life. And Reiner will be able to, keep himself defensive and he'll play off of his back. And Bo's going to have to mind his P's and Q's and keep his elbows tucked in. And he'll look to transition, but it's not going to come easy. And then you're not submitting a guy like Reiner Ditter, and Bo's not a good enough striker to knock out a guy like Reiner Ditter. So the Bo Nickel TKO plus 150 is crazy to me. Bo Nickel by decision at plus 200. How's that not the move? Like the under 2.5 is minus 140. The over 2.5 is plus 110. I think if this fight is finishing, I think it's because Reiner Ditter is getting on top and reversing Bo Nickel and then just going to work with elbows and knees and just wrecking this guy from top position. If this fight doesn't finish, it's Bo all day. Bo is absolutely going to just have to grind this guy. Now, MMA Lock's asking, why would Bo look to wrestle? Because of the cardio. I mean, we've seen that Reiner Ditter slows down. We've seen that Reiner Ditter is comfortable off his back. We've seen that Reiner is looking to play guard, things of that nature. So if Bo wants to treat this exactly like he did his last fight where he fought Paul Craig, I actually think he's going to have a tougher battle here because Paul Craig is a terrible striker. Reiner Ditter at least is a decent striker. And you know what, though? That's a fair point. If he doesn't wrestle, then it's even more likely this thing goes a full 15 minutes. You guys think Bo Nickel has got just a nuclear arsenal in his hands? I know Reiner Ditter's been clipped by people before on the feet, sure, but Bo Nickel has shown us absolutely zero evidence that he's got any kind of power or striking ability that you should be afraid of on the feet. This guy does not go out there and one-hitter quitter people, except for the one bum that doesn't belong in the UFC and literally got signed to make Bo look good on short notice. Like, that's the only guy he's ever knocked out like that. And that was like a let me take a deep breath and have you just walk right into this kind of punch that he threw. That was not some smooth, technical, sweet shot that he countered the guy. And that it ain't gonna happen. Like I like Bo Nickel by decision, frankly. That's the way I like to do this one. And you know what? And frankly, you might be right. Maybe he's going to look to kickbox for 15 minutes, but still, I think it's going to be 15 minutes. You know what I mean? Moneymaker says, "Do Ritter by sub or Bo KO? Double chances plus 125." See, and that's they're dangling a little bit of plus money out there on you on that one. When the most likely outcome, in my opinion, is that it goes 15 minutes. Is that Bo just works his way through this and it goes 15 minutes. Like I think this is going to be a decision, and the plus 200 Bo by decision is probably something that at some point is going to make my card. I just think it makes way too much sense. And you're turning a minus 400 favorite into a plus 200 prop bet that way. And again, his most likely outcome, in my opinion. Yeah, I like that. Let me just pull Bo Nickel up here real quick for a second. Bear with me. All right. So Bo Nickel is 7-0. He's got 4 wins by sub and 2 by KO. Is he submitting Reiner to Ritter? Not a chance, guys. Not a chance. Jamie Pickett, Val Woodburn, Cody Brundage, Paul Craig. As soon as he got that step up in competition to Paul Craig, decision. Like that's what it took for him to go ahead and get the win. I think we're going to see the same thing. Everyone's expecting this guy to suddenly lock in and he's just going to be a monster now that he got by Paul Craig. I don't think that's what we're dealing with. I think we're dealing with a primary wrestler. No, I know we're dealing with a primary wrestler who's going to fall back on his home skill set. And when things get tough, when things get dangerous, he's going to revert to that and he'll rely on it. Now, Reiner to Ritter on the flip side of this thing, the only time this guy's been finished, he's been knocked out twice. Okay. Everyone thinks he's a bum, but he's been knocked out twice. Let me tell you guys, those knockouts came at the end of his run over in one championship. And it was both against this absolute monster, Anatoly Malkin, who's a 14-1 Muay Thai fighter. Like, this guy's an absolute beast. Up at light heavyweight. That's the only guy who's been able to knock out Reiner de Ritter. The 2 KO losses came from the same man, and he's a world-class Thai fighter in Risen. So, yeah, no, I don't think Bo is going to knock him out. I just don't see it. So I like Bo by decision. Louis Max saying, any chance it goes over 2.5? And yeah, Louis, I think that's the point that I've been driving home here, is that I think it goes over 2.5, and you're getting plus money on the over 2.5, plus 110 for the over 2.5. I would just go with Bo by decision, frankly, because I don't know how Reiner de Ritter. You know, that's not even true. Maybe we just play the over 2.5. I might be getting greedy here. The plus 110 is not as enticing as the plus 200 because the UFC obviously want their boy to win this fight. Like, Bo is supposed to be the one that wins this fight. Reiner has only got 2 wins by decision his entire career. He wins by finish always. So I don't know if he's going to be able to win a decision in this spot. But again, I think the experience edge and the overall well-roundedness, that goes to Reiner de Ritter. So maybe you just play the over 2.5 and you don't sweat who's going to end up getting the decision, because I do think that Bo Nickel has been relatively disappointing. I do think that Bo Nickel is a fighter that is not quite there yet, and the UFC's pushing him to be something. So maybe Reiner squeezes out a decision and the over 2.5 saves you from the plus 200 whiffing on a split decision or something like that. But at the end of the day, I really do feel like Bo probably gets the nod in a greasy fight, because that's who the UFC is really trying to get behind here. All right, guys, main event, Corey Sandhagen takes on Davison, the God of War Figueiredo. And let me just switch this up here, because this is a bantamweight fight and this is my division and I am your bantamweight king. So I need to have my appropriate garb here. Now, you know what though? The angle is just all wrong here. There we go. There we go. Now you can see me in my full glory, and I don't got to worry about it, because the crown has to be in the frame. The crown's got to be in the camera. Guys, this one is very, very simple. We've got both guys making weight here in a main event. Figgy actually looked like he had a bit of a tough weight cut, even up at 135 pounds, which is crazy. So he gets an extra 10 pounds, and he's still having a hard time making weight. That I don't know how he ever made. I don't know how he ever made the weight class below. But there was some serious sparks at face-offs here for this one. Like, neither one of these guys wanted to break first. They were both staring each other down. Like, this fight is going to be extremely intense. And you've got Corey Sandhagen, who's the natural 135er. He's taller, he's longer. He's taller and longer than most people in this weight class, but especially a a lower weight class fighter coming up to his home, you're going to see him with a height and a reach advantage here. I like Corey Sandhagen, you guys. Corey Sandhagen is going to be the anchor of everything I play this week. He is a minus 520 favorite, and I know that sounds crazy. Davison Figueiredo has been kind of making waves up at this weight class, but I think that run comes to an end tomorrow. Davison Figueiredo is not going to have the grappling success against Corey that he wants, and Corey is not going to stand in front of this man and give him a war. You know, that's Davison Figueiredo's thing. Car crash with me. Stand right there. Let's hit each other in the face and see who falls over first. You know, Brandon Moreno, my boy, he's the one that's able to take that game plan and just kind of outmove and outbox him, and you could see that in every single one of their fights. He was just slicker. He looked for counters. He outworked him. He used the footwork. He stayed away. That's Corey Sandhagen's game. So we're going to have a big cage. You're going to have a height and a reach advantage, and you're going to have this little guy coming at you trying to either shoot in and grab a leg and drag you to the mat or look to land a bomb on you. Corey's going to he's going to slip and move. He's going to counter. He's going to roll. He's going to be able to get up from the takedowns. Figgy is not going to just D1 wrestle this guy and be able to win a 25-minute decision with that. He slows down too much. I actually think there's a very real possibility that Corey Sandhagen finishes Davison Figueiredo deep in this fight. Now, it's probably Sandhagen by decision. I will go ahead and tell you guys that. Sandhagen by decision is minus 160, and that prop has taken some steam throughout the week, so that's an easy, cheap way to go ahead and bring the price tag down from minus 500 if you want to go ahead and get in, but not parlay up Corey Sandhagen the way I am. Minus 160 for the fight to go the distance with Corey getting his hand raised is, I think, a fair price. But the Bantamweight King has spoken, ladies and gentlemen. Corey Sandhagen gets his hand raised on Saturday, and he is my anchor. So right now, the way my card looks, I'm doing 2-leg parlays. That's if those of you guys, if you don't know what the anchor is, guys, I pick one fighter that's my favorite and best bet on the entire card, and I pretend they don't exist. I parlay them up with everything else that I like on the card to get a better number on all the other picks on the card. So then if I can hit everything all the way up to that final pick, obviously, if the anchor comes through, big payouts on everything else. It's a all or nothing type of approach. I'm either going to win a pile or I'm going to have my pockets turned out on Saturday. So you got to be forewarned. I warn people every time I do this. If you tail this strategy, if I'm wrong on that anchor, the whole night's over. Everything's busted just from that one leg. The nice thing is this week, the anchor happens to be in the main event. So it's a very easy hedge out. If you get nervous, if we've hit 4 other legs or something like that, and you're not sure, and you want to lock up some money, you're going to have plus 400 on Davis and Figueiredo money line to make an easy hedge out to cover yourself this week. But I'm going to be diamond handsing this thing and riding it through. I've parlayed Corey Sandhagen, again, 2-legger parlays, except for the 1 leg that happens to be a 3-legger. I parlayed Corey Sandhagen with Quang Lee. At this point, that gets you plus 155. I did get a slightly better number than that. I think I got plus 168. I parlayed him up with Miesa Tate. That number has moved in both numbers have moved. So it's about where it was, actually. Corey Sandhagen's a little more expensive. Miesa Tate's a little cheaper. So kind of evens out in the long run. And then I parlayed him up with Montel Jackson. That got minus 122. That is now minus 145. So that's a little bit more expensive. And then I parlayed up with Santiago Ponzanibio. You get plus money for that one as well. And then the 3-legger that I did, the one that I'm scared of, I parlayed up Sandhagen, Mason Jones, Azamat Beckov, and that was minus 122, I believe. When I made it, it is minus 128 now. And that's the one, again, 1 unit play on that one. That's the smallest of the 3 legs for me for this anchor parlay system. And I am tempted to cash that one out because I think both of those fighters have a potential of blowing the parlay and being the upset of the night, with Jeremy Stevens being able to punch Mason Jones in the face and Ryan Loder being able to out cardio a guy like Azamat Beckov. So I'm tempted on both dogs there in that spot. I may cash that 3-legger parlay out. I do like the over 2.5 in the co-main event. I do like Bo Nickel to win the fight, but not at minus 340. I hate that. This is, again, it's a dog or pass type of situation. And, you know, Reiner to Ritter at plus, the plus 3.5 spread at plus money. That might actually be a good bet because we will have competitive moments on the feet here. This could be a split decision. And you want the plus money side. You want the plus 3.5 judges scorecards if that ends up being the case. I already said I like Santiago Ponzanibio. I already said I like Montel Jackson. Lean Cameron Smotherman. Miesa Tate. Tempted on the dog with Ryan Loder. I like that round 3 sprinkle sub, right? 50 to 1, maybe just a little bit. Lean Marina Rodriguez, scary as that is, going against my girl Jillian makes my heart cry a little bit. I got to avoid that fight. I can't parlay up Jillian and lose money on Jillian Robertson and then have my heart broken and also lose money on it. Lean Thomas Peterson, even after all the back and forth about how Dantel Mays might be live, he looks terrible on the scales today, you guys. I think it's Thomas Peterson. And you know what? One thing I didn't mention about Thomas Peterson, this guy likes a key lock, doesn't he? Doesn't he have a thing about Kimuras? Let me look up Thomas Peterson real quick here for you. I think he's got a history of Kimura attacks. Now, I don't know that you're going to be able to arm lock a guy like Dantel Mays. Yeah, key lock. He got Chandler with that on Dana White's Contender Series. So the trick with the key locks is you've got to get the right leverage and the right angle, and then you've also got to be able to overpower the arms of the person that you're doing the attack on. And Dantel Mays is so flippin' big that I just don't think that's going to happen. Now, Thomas Peterson by submission at plus 600, that is potential. Maybe. I would kind of think he gets on top and just ground and pounds his way, though. I do think it'll be one of those things where it takes everything he's got to hold Dantel down. So it's probably a decision more than anything. Thomas Peterson by decision at plus 100 is most likely. But I would not look at that key lock. A couple of people may mention the key lock is something that he does or something he goes to. And I just think it's a bad matchup with Dantel Mays. Dantel's too big, too strong. I don't think that's something that's going to be possible. All right. What's up, D? What's up, buddy? How we doing? Mac Jr. saying that over and plus money is, hey, we got Mac Jr. and Louis Mac Jr. Do you guys know each other? Are you, Louis, are you running 2 accounts and supporting me twice on the show? Oh my goodness. All right. That is what's up, Louis. That's what's up. Bantamweight, baby. Got to have the crown for my weight class. Got to have the crown. All right. Small World Lifters joining late. Thank you for being here, even though you're right at the end of the show. No cancellations. We are good to go, at least as of now. So go ahead and go back in time travel to the beginning of the show and enjoy. Let's feel the rain. That's what's up. All right. What's going on, Beat the Bookies? How we doing? And Louis says, no, I'm not that smart. All right, guys. That will do it. That is the undefeated post weigh-in show for UFC Des Moines. Thank you all so much for being here with me. Appreciate your time as always. Please subscribe, guys. I know a lot of you tune in, you watch the show, but you've never subscribed. It helps me out. It helps the YouTube algorithm out. I'm trying to go out on my own and do my own thing and building this brand from scratch after years and years of doing a podcast. It's not easy. So if you guys could subscribe for me, please, that would make an absolute massive difference for me. Hit the like button. I really hope you guys absolutely crush it this week. I think this is a relatively low-level, semi-sketchy card, so be careful out there, but that's my favorite kind of card to go ahead and do these anchor parlays on because we're going to get better numbers on everything, and as long as Corey Sandhagen comes home, we should be able to have a profitable week. I'm 6-1 on the anchors. The only anchor that failed was Benoit Saint-Denis. And I've told everybody, if the referee didn't stop that fight because his eyes were swelling shut, Benoit Saint-Denis was still going to come back and wreck Moicano's ass the deeper that fight went. He was taking over that fight with no vision whatsoever in round 2 because Moicano was dead gas. So we've missed one anchor, one in the history of these anchor parlay system plays. So I like Corey Sandhagen a lot this week. And even if you don't anchor him all the way up or something, you want to take a less volatile strategy, which I completely respect, by the way. I do think Corey Sandhagen wins, and it's probably Corey Sandhagen by decision. I hope the show helped you out. I hope the information helped you out, and we'll see you guys back next week. However, scheduling update. My show doesn't miss. I'm on Monday without fail every week, 7:30 p.m. Eastern, except for when the time zones shift for daylight savings time. Always, every time, without fail. This week, the show is on Tuesday. You guys, mark your calendars. We're going to have to shift it this week. I got something, unfortunately, that I can't move. The podcast will be on Tuesday this week, but I got a great guest lined up for you, and I'm very much looking forward to talking about this next big old pay-per-view. So kick some ass, you guys. Make some money. Have a great week. And as always, let's roll. Your Bantamweight King has spoken.
I still made it up. Yeah. Feel like Steven Universe, I got them crystals. Big homies, they got me. Big homies shoot pistols.
much flexing, too much stressing, I need money. Shit, I get mad when I get to the bag, just know I'm still hungry. Starving, niggas is starving, head to the city where it get the darkest. Starving, niggas is starving, up in the city, everyone a target. Target, up in the market, I got a shooter who's looking for targets. Damn, you sounding heartless, I get no love, so yeah, I be heartless. Get your weight up, shit, outcast kid finna get his weight up, shit, gotta eat more if you won't get your weight up. You gotta just be a shark, but I'm moving like a ghost, but there's no hocus pocus, Heath Ledger, no joke, bro, I'm moving like a killer clown, depressed life make a nigga frown, homie Goliath to spray around, but not enough mags to rage around, I just need to relax, I just need to kick back, send me some lean, while I'm smoking green crack, numb on the pain, I go insane, shit, I don't wanna feel like that, smoking exotic, yeah, blowing these O's, just like Sonic, I gotta find me a tonic, I hate these demons, yo, they be demonic, I be really going crazy, smoke gas to feel wavy, now I'm high up the wave, body heavy like Dave, body heavy like Dave, big homies, they got me, big homies shoot pistols, if you got a problem, give us a call, bro, it's that simple, shit, I'm hunting the money, it's not even funny, just check my tummy, starving, niggas is starving, head to the city where it get the darkest, starving, niggas is starving, up in the city, everyone a target, up in the market, I got a shooter who's looking for targets, damn, you sounding hardness, I get no love, so yeah, I be heartless, bitch.